I think people need to see the truth. And whether the Door Brothers have it right or have it wrong, if you agree or like if it offends the hell out of you, then they did what they're trying to do. They've offended you. If you sit back in your chair and you go, wow, they won. Either way, they're winning, because the whole point of art is to tell some truth.
Welcome to the Crazy Angels podcast with Pascal Dennis and David Logan. Hi, guys.
Hello,
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Today we want to talk about a song called I Tell Lies to Tell the Truth. You know, we've already briefly talked about how, truth can change over time, and how also in especially music production, the advent of certain technological advancements has changed that in the creation of auto-tune, whatever, the use of samples, so sample-based instruments, the use of virtual instruments, and all this now, as I guess we would all agree, is completely accepted in the creation of art. Now,
Yes.
we're in the age, of AI, and I hate to always talk about AI, but I think it's relevant. But then the question which I have to you guys is, do you see any future where the use of generative AI may actually be acceptable in the creation of real art, or is it always going to be artifice?
David,
Can I
you
take
wanna?
this one,
Yeah,
Pascal?
please. Yeah.
I think that's already happening.
Mhm.
Okay. And, artists have always used satire to tell the truth of what's happening in the world. And I think with AI, there's some of the most incredible satire I've ever seen. There's a group out of Germany called the Door Brothers, D-O-R. And just warning, like some of their, content is quite disturbing. But they're using all AI of, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Putin, Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-il, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump. And, the thing is, like, some of the videos are really, really disturbing to watch. But they are trying to tell the truth about how they see what's happening in the world, right? There's another wonderful one. I can't remember who put it out there, but if you, it's a song called "How Dare You," and it's all about Greta Thunberg, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And it's her and Sydney Sweeney and a bunch of Hezbollah and Hamas fighters all on a flotilla. And the name of the flotilla, the boat, is called the SS High Ground. Or I think it's even the SS Moral High Ground, I think is what it's called. It's one of the funny, and the thing is, like, it doesn't matter what your political view of the world is. It's absolutely genius what these people are doing with AI. It's brilliant, and I think they're using it for the right purpose, because I think people, need to see the truth. And whether the Door Brothers have it right or have it wrong, if you agree or like if it offends the hell out of you, then they did what they're trying to do. They've offended you. If you sit back in your chair and you go, wow, they won. Either way, they're winning, because the whole point of art is to tell some truth. And again, if your reaction is, oh, how dare they show Kamala Harris getting drunk with vodka that was handed to her by Vladimir Putin, how dare they do that? The art was successful because that's your truth. You're left with, you're disturbed. Do you think people looked at Guernica and said, oh, what a beautiful painting? No, it disturbed the hell out of people. And he had even worse, more disturbing graphic anti-war. But that's the thing. Picasso used his art to tell the truth of what was happening. And some of it is, yeah, I mean, some of his paintings, there's one where it's just a group of women, children women holding the babies, and they're all like basically naked. And on the other side is like iron, steel, protection barriers, and just all men with guns. And you obviously know what's about to happen. And to look at this Picasso, I don't know the name of the painting, but it's way more disturbing than Guernica, which is already kind of disturbing. So again, he won because I saw this Picasso exhibit, and I was in Madrid, and I saw the painting, and it just disturbed the hell out of me. It was disturbing. I couldn't even look at it for too long. And that image is seared into my brain for life. And you know what? Even talking about it, I get a little choked. He won. He won. That's it. He got the truth out of me. Go ahead.
What I would add to that is I think we're going to use technology. We love technology. We're going to use it, but I think the way we use it's important. So my image is, whether it's in music or in your day job or in anything, the teams of the future, the bands of the future will have human members and probably AI agents. But the band leader, the arranger, the producer, has to be human and has to be using the team, putting a team together, whether it's mainly human with a few AIs or whatever the mix is, to tell the truth, as opposed to the AI being the mastermind doing things, because
That's a
that's
great
not
way of
art.
putting it.
That's AI slop. So we'll use technology in the way that David described. Occasionally, I'll use technology just to get some ideas for unusual extensions to a chord progression. I play with it. I'll say, okay, I've got a 1 7 3 6 2 5 1 progression, and in the verse, I modulate up a whole tone.
And it's
Are there
fantastic when he does.
are there some interesting extensions I can add? And usually the AI give me like 10 ideas, which I already knew. Well, you can add a flat seven here, you can sharpen the fifth, you can do this. I already knew that, right? But occasionally I get a gem. Well, that's a reasonable way of using AI. But I do not use AI to write the lyric. To me, the blank page is a sacred thing, and that's what pulls me into the song. Once I've
And if I,
got a lyric, I might use it. I never do, but some people say, well, it can, it can help. If you use it like that, fair enough. But the architect, the producer, the arranger, the mastermind has to be the human telling the story. Go ahead.
yes, and I just wanted to quickly say, because this idea of political satire and using AI to make these sometimes very disturbing, and I want to stress this point. I'm on neither side of the political divide. Like, it's not, I'm agnostic and I just want to make music and art and let the world eat itself alive. Like, it's not that it doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me. I don't have a dog in the fight, is what I'm saying. But I wanted to point out, and then we'll put it back to Levi, because he just asked a question. That was it. The big mouths here. But I wanted to point out that, several of Pascal's songs are using lyrics, chord progressions, and melodies to do really amazing political satire, right? Here comes our fearless leader, the anointed one.
All foam, no beer.
He's sorry about everything, even things he never done. Like,
Tricky Dick
it's,
forever. I'm a victim too. Check
yeah.
them out.
And so he's doing it, but what is he doing? He's using the art that he knows, right? He's using, and then it's my job to use the art that I know about producing and arranging and recording to then make the songs the best that they can be. All right, back to Levi's corner. Sorry, I
And
just
then
wanted to add that.
lest we forget, then Levi takes a song like, well, I'm a victim too, or Goodbye BB King, or Tricky Dick Forever, and creates magic videos. So that's another form of magic.
That is
And Levi, I know that
absolutely.
you use AI in intelligent ways, but in fresh ways, and you are the mastermind. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So no, just quickly, in some ways, Levi has the most important job of all of us, right? Because that's what people are going to see and interact with. So his job is actually the more important one, because
Yeah.
he is what brings the song to life visually. He's creating the visual stimuli behind the song, and he does a fantastic job of doing it. So yeah,
Thanks.
kudos. to Levi.
Thanks.
Back to your corner. Back to
Yeah.
you, Levi.
Yeah. Thanks. No, it's interesting, yeah, how basically, yeah, we're taking these ideas which come from you, which are human, which strive to be real art, and then then ironically, sometimes we have some scenes in music videos which are AI generated to underline, you
Yeah.
know, what is happening in the art to
But
express the truth.
you're
So we're
doing it.
using lies
You're
to tell the truth sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're the
Sure, but
architect of the
some
video. It's Levi's video and
That's
image.
true.
yeah,
That
Vision. Yeah.
I am the one, who is the curator of
single-handedly, mind you.
scenes. Yeah. Thanks. No.
You don't have a team of like 7 guys, editing, cutting video. The other
Yeah.
quick thing I'll say is if you're talking about like in Come to Your Window, Sarah, where, the old Toronto, the old Spadina Avenue, there's what, 2 or 3 surviving images of that. So you're
Yeah.
limited in what you
Yeah.
can choose from.
Yeah.
So, and then, but it's what you do with that and blend with the other images. It's fantastic. So
Thanks.
good on you.
Appreciate it. I know. Well, my last question would be, um, how do you think, um, how do you think the human touch is relevant in art if, technology becomes better and better in imitating certain, tasks. For example, like in music production, we're imitating the, analog gear, we're imitating the real instruments, and we're using them to actively create, tracks which sound like what we like, which are simulating maybe a band playing live, for example. Um, and my theory is that AI is going to become better and better at imitating all these aspects. Maybe we're gonna, I mean, we are already at the point where I'm sure you've heard a lot of generative AI, which is creating full-on tracks. So my question to you guys is, why will, in your opinion, and I know you think it is important, why do you think the human touch is important to remain in art?
All
If
you,
I may,
Pascal.
if I may, this is a very central question for me. And I think the great epics of our time, the epics that tell the psychology, the emotions, the traumas, the tragedy, the triumph of our difficult times are the Star Wars stories and the Lord of the Rings. And in both of those, in this case, Tolkien or the creators of Star Wars, George Lucas and the rest, they're invoking the ancient stories. And their insight, I think, informs us going forward. And for me, the core metaphor comes from the old alchemists. Alchemists were these mysterious scientists slash psychiatrists slash dreamers slash artists in the Middle Ages. And they said, well, what we're trying to do is create gold out of lead. It was a metaphor for we're trying to create magic out of the human heart, take the darkness and the misery and awfulness of life back then, create something beautiful. So the core metaphor of the alchemists, which informs Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, is imagine an old magician with one hand rooted in the earth and the other hand reaching up for the stars, for the sky. The stars, the sky, that represents technology. So it's all the incredible technology in the Star Wars movies, but the hand rooted in the earth, that's the human spirit. So that's the force in the Star Wars epics. In Lord of the Rings, it is the force of the earth, the force of nature, that informs Bilbo and Frodo and Aragorn. So we have to invoke, inform, enrich our art with that feeling. We have to have one hand that's deeply rooted in the earth. We'll use technology. We'll be reaching for the stars, projecting our nervous system, using AI, but we have to maintain that one hand rooted in the earth. As in Lord of the Rings, who does Luke go to learn from? Well, this funny little guy, this Jedi Knight who looks like a gnome, Yoda, and he speaks in these riddles and he lives in a swamp, So that's my image. We have to keep that image in mind, and then we'll be okay. We'll maintain our humanity, and our technology will serve us. Otherwise, it's risky, right?
I can I just add on?
Yeah, please.
I'll try to make this really quick. So humans suffer. We hurt. AI doesn't suffer. It doesn't hurt. It can make algorithms for that, but it doesn't. The other thing is artists see things that nobody else sees. So I will be somewhere and I will notice something, and my girlfriend will say, wow, I didn't even see that. What made you pick, what made you notice that? And I say, well, because I'm an artist, that's my job, is to see what no one else sees, to go where no one else goes. I remember one of my theory teachers at Berkeley said, this is the wrong way of doing, tonal harmony. You're not supposed to mix these things together. But whenever someone tells you you should never do it this way, chances are you're going to go there and try and find a way. And that's where the art happens. And I was just like, damn, that's some education right there. So, just to close this off, AI sees everything that is there and does not ever see those really, the things that only the artist would pick up. And I think that's why the human touch of a real artist, not, because the difference between an artist and an artisan, right? The artist makes the art because they have to make the art. And the artisan is a professional artist that makes carved wood, replicas of the Colosseum or the Empire State Building and sells them for $10, and it's the same thing that they're carving all day long. It still requires talent, skill, not so much creativity, but at the end of the day, they're there just to make the money. They want to feed their families, but they can't do it with art, so they have to be an artisan. So yeah, that's my 2 cents there. So AI sees everything, and the artist sees what no one else noticed.
Yeah. And remember that image, folks. One hand rooted in the earth and the other hand reaching for the sky, but maintain that tension, maintain both of them, and I think we'll be okay. We'll use technology in a good way. If we lose contact with the earth, then all the dystopian nightmares are more likely. The Matrix and all the other expressions of that nightmarish world. Let's keep our hands rooted in the earth.